think we're pretty much all back. So does, do we want to get, so would Ghana, would you like to, would you like to show us what you've done? And just give us a quick run through just for a couple of minutes. Celia, do you want to present yours? I'm seeing your face here. Do you want to just show us yours then? Okay, and after Angola, so Stephen, will you be ready to present after Angola?
Our purpose statement is to which extent mothers and children health services have been affected by COVID-19 in Luanda, and which measures should, and the measures that should be put into place to ensure that these groups are given the needed assistance.
Okay.
We think that it is appropriate and that it's feasible, taking into account that there is data available for that. The questions that we have are: to what extent the traditional health personnel has the capacity to undertake COVID-19 prevention strategies, taking into account that not all women have access to health care. Some of them are assisted by traditional assistants. And we would like to know if these assistants are trained with the COVID-19 prevention strategies. We would also like to ask to what extent the health services are equipped with financial and human resources needed to respond to the crisis, taking into account these special groups, and how critical patients, pregnant women or mothers that have recently given birth, as well as babies and very small children, are being treated for COVID-19. Here we would like to find out if they are treated in the same facilities as other people. And finally, we would do it by getting testimonies, phone interviews, social media, short surveys, and existing data from the Ministry of Health.
Okay, can you just go back and show your purpose statement again? Okay, and then does anybody want to give any comment on the purpose statement? Yeah, so it's both, it's the degree the service has been effective and then what you need to do to correct. Okay, go back to your questions again.
Maybe Ian, on second thoughts, on the purpose statement.
Go back to it.
Yes, I was just thinking that it's too broad to me. Maybe if we could have talked about maybe breastfeeding mothers, or we are just talking about children, it is better, because this is too broad, and then it's also countrywide. In Luanda, it's in Luanda. It's only in Luanda, but I'm also thinking that for mothers and children in Luanda, it should maybe have been maybe in one or two districts in Luanda, so that for a rapid evaluation maybe to take place as quickly as we would have wanted. Because yes, it's an urban district, but we are saying that I thought it was, for me, it is too broad. If we are concentrate on mothers only, or on children only, or maybe if we just say breastfeeding mothers and leave the rest, so that you have a target group that is that you can actually pick on. Those are my thoughts on it.
Can I add it to Anderson? And Anderson, it's Elizabeth. Basically, our focus is actually to breastfeeding mother. We just forgot to put that, to mention that, but we appreciate your point.
Okay, but Anderson, there's what we must separate off as scope. So for example, they might still want to look at Luanda, and then in terms of sample, they will say, we're going to look at 5, 10 clinics or whatever it is. That's a sample issue. It's not an issue about the purpose statement. Yeah. So but yes, definitely the focus of what you're looking on, which is also a scope issue. So to what, so for example, under, so if we say lactating mothers and child health services, So that they might say under scope, for child health services, we're going to specifically focus on 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, which could be a scope issue. So, so you're raising an important point that your scope mustn't be too broad. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And if we look if we go to your questions, let's go back to your questions. Do you think with those questions we can answer? So I think there's something missing at the beginning. So these are questions which will explain things, but there needs to be something about what the situation is.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
So what is the situation with child and mother health services? Yeah? Then you're going to start explaining why it's their problem, for example. Yeah?
Okay.
Any other comments you want to make about the questions? Okay, there might also, because you said what needs to be done, there needs to be a question about how do you strengthen or how do you mitigate the effects of COVID-19 or something, do you know what I mean, on the health service? So that's why be careful about focusing on criteria. Focus on how are you going to answer that purpose statement. That's what I want to find out. What are the questions I need to answer in order to be able to answer that purpose statement? Yeah.
So sorry, and here is how you minimize the infection of these groups.
Okay. So
Okay.
so whatever. So some action thing that's a result.
I was also looking at another question on what are the gaps and how could the intervention be strengthened? That is the interventions that are already in place. What are the gaps and how can we strengthen the interventions?
Yeah. So there could be what has been done to minimize the effect of COVID-19, for example. What are the gaps? And then what could be done? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, anybody else want to add? Any comments? Okay, all right. Thank you very much, guys. Okay,
Thank you.
let's move on to Ghana. Stephen?
So I was trying to put this to, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so as you said, this is we're trying to look at conducting a rapid evaluation on the implementation of Ghana School Feeding Program. And the purpose is for this to assess the effectiveness and the efficiency of the feeding program and how to respond to reducing hunger and malnutrition, increasing school enrollment, retention, and attendance to boost local food production to document the lesson learned for improvement of the program. I can see just after going into, I just realized the scope is a little bit bigger, but that should be one of the things I would expect. So just to move to the questions, we're just trying to find out the number of enrollment, has it increased enrollment in terms of introduction of this program? I think the program is about 6 years old. I saw 6 years old. So we are trying to look at whether we could look at whether there has been an increase in enrollment, and also to assess the type of food being provided, and also to look at whether it's going to boost local products, because the sources of the food being served in the school will identify whether we are using a local staple food or probably we are doing an imported food. Then also just to look at the school feeding program on reducing hunger and stunting at a wasting level. Because if you look at the measurement of it, like when you reduce the scope to a certain community in the northern sector, or probably this could also be measured looking at these various 3 nutritional indicators. Then also to look at drawing some lesson from the implementation, and also to ensure the value of money, and then looking at some of the gaps that can be addressed by and how it can be strengthened. Thank you.
Okay, just as a general point to the people who are presenting later, it's easy to see if you see the purpose with the questions underneath it, because the questions must answer the purpose. So, but just any comments on the purpose on the purpose Stephen has here. Grace,
Hello, yeah.
okay, any comments on the purpose here?
Well, not much. I will, if there is anything I want to contribute, I want to contribute, maybe later.
Okay.
Yes.
Anybody else want to make any comments about this? Who would like to? I heard somebody.
May I
Go-
ask a
go for
question
Janine.
there, Ian? I'm
Yeah.
wondering if the scope, and I know you were making a difference earlier between the scope and the question on the purpose, but I'm wondering if the elements are not too many here because there's reducing hunger, there's a question of retention, there's a question of enrollment, and then that applies to the various different things like production, boosting local food production, and then there's another aspect, you know, in terms of lessons. But it seems that in a rapid evaluation, the more focused the question is, the more likely or better the outcome, I think, the project becomes. And I wonder if this doesn't take away from the objective of a rapid evaluation when there's too many different elements.
Yep, I think it's a good comment. Anybody else want to make a comment? Then I'll make a comment afterwards. Anybody else want to add? This is a chance just to say to people, you know, thinking about somebody else's is as valuable as thinking about your own. So you know, giving some ideas from you would be really, obviously it helps in this case Stephen, but Ghana, but it's also good practice for you. Anybody else got any comments?
I have a comment. It's more a question than a comment. It's a question to the group whether you have discussed whether you have enough data and time that will allow to assess efficiency. To me, probably will make, so I agree with Janine's comments first. I think that the scope has to be a bit more focused, but I'm also asking about the criteria, whether efficiency is the right criteria for these rapid evaluations, whether you have assessed whether there is data availability, and also the time that you will invest in this evaluation will allow you to assess efficiency. From an outsider perspective that is not aware of the context, so apologies for that, I would dare to say that probably the focus on relevance and effectiveness would be more pertinent. Thank you.
Yeah. Hello, Ian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looking at this purpose and looking at you know, considering that, you know, we are targeting at a rapid evaluation, is this not, you know, too robust, you know, for this kind, you know, of study? Because looking at what we need, you know, to assess, you know, issue is of assessing effectiveness, efficiency, you know, the focus, you know, is really looks a bit too broad. And just like, you know, Ada has said, unless, you know, the information is ready on the table, you know, it may really be very challenging, you know, conducting, you know, as a rapid, you know, within the period that we say it should happen. That's just my observation. Maybe, you know, we may be able to maybe narrow the scope. That may be easier, you know, for a rapid evaluation. Thank you.
Okay, so Stephen, to be honest, I believe it's very important with your purpose statements for them to be quite simple and clear. So even whether it's rapid or not, I think this is too complicated a statement. So for example, I would have said, you could, I mean, I think Ada's point is right. Efficiency is going to be quite difficult to do. But for example, you could say the purpose of this evaluation is to assess the effectiveness of the Ghana school feeding program and how it can be strengthened. A lot of this other detail there, you can make decisions about, is that what you mean by effectiveness? In other words, are those the outcomes you have in the theory of change that underlies the program? Or are you, if they're not part of the outcomes of the program, it's definitely too ambitious. If they're part of the outcomes of the program, then you can decide, I might want to focus on some of those outcomes or not others. That's a scope issue, it's not a purpose issue. Yeah? So keeping it fairly simple is really important. So the effectiveness of, okay, so if you were to do effectiveness of, to assess the effectiveness of the school feeding program. Okay, so now let's go to your questions again. So has the enrollment increased during the implementation of the program? Yes, you could be looking at that. So if you think about this in terms of the theory of change, the early bits of the theory of change will be about food delivered. So whereas enrollment will be sort of like an outcome statement, might be one of your outcomes, that because you've got school feeding, more children go to school, therefore enrollment increases. So if you think about it in terms of the theory of change for this intervention, so it would be helpful to structure your questions a little bit in the order of that theory of change. But I think a lot of these questions are appropriate, except for the cost one, the efficiency. So that's the point that Ada was making. You might find it difficult to look at the cost issues in the time you've got. So it's a question. But I think the structure of your questions look fairly appropriate. I would probably change the orders of them. But if you're thinking about it, in general, I would strongly recommend, I think a good way of looking at evaluations is looking at whether the theory of change of the intervention is working and how it can be strengthened, and then thinking about your questions in relation to that theory of change. Okay, let's move on to the next group. Can we go on to Namibia? Thanks, Stephen.
Hello.
Sam, okay. Okay, Sam, you're presenting Namibia.
Okay, so we actually try to do a rapid evaluation on the Vision 2030 review, which it has a bearing on the other development, short-term development going forward. And that is for us the reason why we want to do that, the evaluation, the rapid evaluation on it, because we need to do the other development plans formulation soon. And the purpose statement we say is to assess the effectiveness of the implementation of programs through the short-term development plans towards the realization of Vision 2030.
Okay, show us your questions.
Yes.
Where's the list of questions?
The questions. Yeah, the questions is here. Does the country have sufficient capacity in terms of expertise to undertake the development or implement the implementation? And then is how effective and efficient is the service delivery to facilitate development? And the other one is the program implementation sufficiently resourced in terms of budget? And then we also look at the budget allocation. Are the allocated budget utilized sufficiently for the intended purpose? And what are the lessons and best practice learned that can be taken to improve implementation?
Okay, so let's go back to your purpose statement. Any comments on the purpose statement?
Hi, everybody. This is Laura.
Go, Laura. Go for it.
I'm sorry, I wasn't part of the breakout groups, and I don't, as Ada said, I don't have the context for this specific evaluation. But my impression from this purpose statement, the realization of Vision 2030 sounds like an enormous program, presumably for the entire country, and with very, several different types of programs covering a range of sectors. And so it seems very ambitious to try to do a rapid evaluation for such an enormous program. That's my reflection.
Anybody else want to add to that? Yeah. Just go to your questions now.
Should
The questions?
The questions.
Yeah. How long do you think it's going to take you to answer that first bullet point you've got there?
Yes, yeah, we thought it would not take us so much, probably a month to undertake to ask the questions.
All the
get
questions?
all the questions, because we looked at mostly that we have been undertaking the development or the implementation through short-term plans, and which we have already been undertaking some reviews, and we have some of the reports already. So we thought that much of the data collection will be through secondary data, which is a desktop reviews, and then probably some little group interviews and telephone interviews.
Okay, so I think Laura's comment is valid, and this is a very ambitious evaluation to do.
Yeah.
So if you have, as you're saying, if you have a lot of existing data you can draw on, it might be possible. But when you consider you're talking of every sector, potentially every program, service delivery across the state, the use of budgets, this is a huge enterprise. Yeah. So,
yes.
So I would be very reluctant to try and do
Yes.
something like this as a rapid. I tell you something, I would not take the job.
That's
Yeah?
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think you do need to think about so it's very, if you've got existing evaluations and reviews which have been done, that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to have to scale back what you try and do.
Okay.
And you might need to make it very clear that you're only talking of desktop work, working from existing, so you're synthesizing existing reviews to indicate something. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So be very careful in that. Okay.
Okay.
Good. Can we go to?
May I quickly?
Go on, Ada.
Yes. I think that would be important to formulate the questions in a way that they cannot be answered by yes and no. So more open rather than closed questions. That is my comment. And then the question I have is, if the first question is going to be answered through existing reviews or assessments, wouldn't it make sense to split this into one rapid evaluation and one synthesis?
Yeah. Sam, do you have a comment on that?
I did not get the last question.
Ada, do you want to
The
say
last
that
comment?
again?
No, I was thinking if for the first question, you will need to review secondary information, but also some previous reviews and assessment. Wouldn't it make sense to deal with this first question as a separate exercise that will be a synthesis? So then you will have a rapid evaluation plus a synthesis that can be interesting. Probably in that way you can get out more about from this exercise.
Okay, so to focus only on that one question.
No, I think so what Ada's saying is you might want to think about which of these questions can you synthesize existing data, and which of them might be areas where you need to go and do new evaluative work.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
And bearing in mind the time you've got available to do this.
All right.
Yeah. So where you know that your existing reviews, for example, you might say we've got good reviews of X sectors, but not that sector.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Or we've got good reviews about capacity, but not about service delivery.
Okay.
Or we've done capacity and service delivery. There's good data to draw on, but not about the resourcing side. And so what we might want to look at more is a cost effectiveness issue and do a rapid evaluation around cost effectiveness. But while the other stuff is more synthesis. Yeah.
Okay.
So Sierra Leone, can you present yours?
Okay, you have my
go
screen.
Yep, go through it.
Okay, so basically, we want to look at the impact of the school feeding program on school enrollment and attendance with specifically looking at 3 of the poorest districts in the country. The statement of purpose is to ascertain whether the school feeding program is reaching the intended beneficiaries and to determine the effectiveness of the school feeding program in increasing school enrollment and retention rates. So the key evaluation questions are 1, by the way, we are not actually able to put them in order, so we just listed them. You see that some of them are really not placed in order. The first one is, to what extent does the school feeding program reach the intended beneficiaries? The second one is the school feeding program relevant to the socio-economic? To what extent, sorry, there is a typo here. To what extent has the school enrollment and retention changed during implementation of the school feeding program? Does the school feeding program lead to increased attentiveness and learning? Do supplies for the school feeding program come in time and regularly? And the final question is, to what extent will government mobilize resources to continue with the school feeding program? This final question is there to capture the aspect of sustainability. You know, in our country, most of the time, programs that are being funded by government, sometimes there are challenges in terms of sustainability of the program. So that's why we carve this question out. So broadly speaking, these are the evaluation questions we identified so far.
Okay. So any comments on what Joseph has presented?
Grace
No,
has a hand
there's no
raised.
comment.
Go on. Any others? Anybody
There
else?
is 1 hand raised and 1 comment in the chat.
So Grace, I see a hand raised from Grace. Okay.
Thank you, Ian. I think the similar comment that went to a lot of the other groups, I think it also applies here. It looks to me that the scope is too broad, and I was wondering whether they've considered the feasibility of carrying out such a huge evaluation. Also, given the times that we are in, are they going to be able to get to wherever they need to get to and be able to collect data, or what is the plan? It looks to me that the scope is too broad.
Which questions are you particularly, or in the purpose statement, what particularly worries you in terms of?
What worries me is they're talking about effectiveness of the school feeding program, but anyway, it doesn't say how far this school feeding program has gotten in terms of where is it? Does it cover the whole country, or is just a specific area, district?
It says 3 poorest
districts. If it covers
districts.
the whole country.
3 poorest districts.
Pardon?
3 poorest districts. It says 3 poorest districts.
Oh, okay. I was just looking at the paper statement itself.
So when you read it with 3 poorest districts, what do you think is particularly difficult? I'm not questioning your comment. I just, you know, so when you look at it.
My concern is still that maybe they haven't gotten to that yet, but I think it's still important to think about that right now, given that we are in these COVID times. How feasible is it that they will be able to access data in those 3 poorest districts?
Okay, so
That's
that's a
I
very,
get
very,
that.
it's a very concrete question. So will you be able to go and do data collection in those districts?
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much. So basically, we'll be using existing reports such as the school census report from the ministry, as well as going to the district to collect data from the schools. Fortunately for us in Sierra Leone, the government has been able to kind of relax some of the conditions, and now people are moving from one district to the other. And for the past 1 month or so, the Ministry of Planning has been, going from one district to the other, kind of decentralizing the national development plan. So yes, we'll be able to go to the district to collect data.
Okay.
That restriction has been relaxed. Yeah.
Okay. So, Stephen, do you want to add something?
I think, as you said, just like the comment we received from the similar disabilities, but my comment was actually referred to something. So for now, I will leave this to
Okay.
the
Okay.
similar comment I received.
Okay. So if I just give a comment, I mean, I think if you're talking about the 3 poorest districts, you do a sample, you can probably answer your first question. But you might want to be more specific about what you mean by reach the intended beneficiaries. You might want to be saying which children are receiving school meals in these schools, for example. And similarly, is the school feeding program relevant to the socioeconomic situation of communities? That's a really very broad question. What do you really mean by that question? Is the school feeding program needed? Is it relevant in terms of overcoming issues of food security? Just being clearer what you actually mean. The third question is a good implementation question. Has it changed? The fourth question is a really difficult one to answer. Yeah, that one is quite difficult, and I think you might not really be able to do that in this thoroughly in a rapid evaluation. Your next question probably you can answer quite easily, and so the last question. So my instinct, you probably can do a lot of this, but that fourth one is going to be pretty difficult. Yeah. So well done. I think still, you can do quite a lot of this, but this bit, which is, so does the school feeding program lead to increased attentiveness and learning? That is quite difficult. And also the one issue I would say in terms of your purpose statement is the effectiveness of the school feeding program in increasing school enrollment and retention. This is where you have to be a bit careful, because you know, how much can you prove causality? How much can you prove that what's been done is what's increasing the effective, is what's increasing school enrollment? That's something one could pursue a bit maybe afterwards. And that's why you end up with randomized control trials and those types of things, but to try and compare with the school feeding program, perhaps without the school feeding program, what happens to school enrollment. But that's quite technical. We can come back to that. Okay, well done. So maybe can we just go to Zimbabwe then?
I think there were 2 hands raised.
Yeah, I'm going to run out of time, so we're going to have to move to Zim.
Let me know when you can see the screen.
We can see it?
Okay. So the purpose statement is to develop and test its theory of short-term impacts of COVID-19 on primary education since March 2020 in Zimbabwe's Goromonzi and Epworth districts, and provide recommendations for reducing the negative impacts of COVID-19 for primary school children. Do you want me to read through the evaluation questions? They're quite long, or should I leave folks to read them themselves?
Just shorten them. Don't read all the detail. Just summarize the key message that you're trying to cover in each question.
Okay, is there a response plan and has it been implemented in these 2 districts? What are some of the alternative education channels being implemented, and to what extent are these being adapted to unique contexts? To what extent are these education channels being accessed? And are there any differences in terms of gender or geographical location in terms of access? To what extent are these alternative methods being implemented meeting the needs and priorities of the school children with the different populations and the most vulnerable children in mind? What extent does the theory of impact hold true? What are some of the enabling environments and factors, as well as gaps and challenges? What are some of the monitoring systems in place? And what are some of the non-education related impacts of COVID-19 on school children?
Okay, so any comments on this from people?
Okay, my only comment is looking at questions 1 and question 1 and 2 are so much loaded. That is what I would say. There are too much. I mean, there are too many questions they are asking, both question 1 and 2, and even up to question 4 and 5. So probably it will make them.
What do you mean by loaded?
They are asking so many questions within one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my But I think before beyond everything is very fine and very fantastic.
Mona, do you want to respond to that?
I see what you're saying. Also, Team Zimbabwe, please, this is a team thing, so jump in at any point. I think we tried to group the relevant questions together. As we understand, the total number of questions should be limited, and so maybe that was our kind of cheeky way of trying to limit the number of questions. Yeah.
Any other questions people want to ask? So just coming back to that point, so the first part of your question 1 is pretty much a yes/no question on Ada's point about the previous one, but the second one is then much more, exploring that, which makes sense. So it's quite broad, but you're only doing it in 2 districts.
Exactly.
So that makes it much more manageable. So you're obviously there'll be quite a lot of field work. And what's the field work situation in Zim at the moment?
I will leave Chiraya or Getrude to answer that question.
Thank you very much. I think the field situation is still very tricky, but we had said that the other one is in urban, and we know that in urban areas, at least there's internet access, there are telephones and so forth. And the other one is rural, but it is pretty close to an urban area of which access and information will not be very difficult to get. So that is, yes, we still have some restrictions on movement, but there is quite some movement right now.
Okay. So my instinct would be, because it's quite, it's quite broad what you're covering, but it's quite narrow in your scope in terms of the 2 districts. So it's probably going to be possible. Anybody else want to raise any comments, questions on that? Okay, so I think just to draw out some general points. One point is, the challenge we've got of developing purpose and evaluation questions is a challenge to every evaluation, whether it's rapid or not. And it's first of all trying to get the logic right, the logic behind the purpose, the logic behind the questions, and having got the logic right, then it's a question of what's feasible to do in the rapid evaluation context. And doing the purpose and questions is an art as well as a science, and it's something that takes practice. It's we think it's a simple thing. It's not a simple thing, and doing it well is a good question. So, I just want to ask all of you in turn whether you actually intend to do these, or whether it was just something you did for this exercise. So, just going back to Angola. For Angola, is this an actual topic you want to pursue, or were you just doing it for the exercise?
We were just doing it for this exercise.
Okay. All right, and Ghana?
It's one of the, actually we are looking at 3 different sectors, but this is one of them we are considering. So
Okay,
yeah,
so it could be it's a real case. for
really,
you.
yeah.
Okay, okay. And then Namibia?
Yes, it is, for now, we thought of just using it as a trial, but it's one of the programs that have been considered, but we took it as a trial for this exercise.
Okay. And
Yes.
Sierra Leone?
Yeah, so basically the topic is from our previous engagement, and one of the evaluation topics we've agreed on so far as a country to include into the VNR process.
Okay, so it's a real one for you.
Yeah.
Okay. And Zimbabwe, is it a real one, Anderson or Gertrude?
For Zimbabwe, we were doing it for the exercise, but it's one field that we're thinking that we can have an evaluation on.
Okay, because one of the things I wanted to say then, this could be a classic thing to interact with you afterwards, if this is a real topic, to interact with you about getting that design right. Yeah, and thinking through the terms of reference for this with you and providing support to you on doing that. Okay, so for example, Ghana, if you do take that forward, I'm the person assigned to support you, and I would then be happily follow up with you on trying to get a TOR, or an evaluation plan, which is realistic. Okay, so just, I think what we touched on was the first steps of the evaluation design process. And we're happy to provide further comments to you, but if you remember on this slide, we were just at the top here. There's all of this that still would need to be done if you're actually developing the actual evaluation plan. But if you get this first step wrong, you're finished. You can't do a good process. This is absolutely critical that this is correct, because your methodology must be driven by the questions you want to ask, and obviously the questions need to be driven by the purpose. Yeah. So very important stage, and for all of you, if you do intend to take this forward, this is very important to get right as we go forward. Okay, so going to do this afternoon, we're changing modes. So what we did in the morning was to get you into thinking about what rapid evaluation involves, some of the decisions you have to take before, during, and after the evaluation, and getting you to think about what's realistic about the purpose and questions for an evaluation. Now we wanted to sort of get back to your broader VNR process and thinking about where that's at, whether there are any issues in relation to it, what support you might need in relation to it, and how that linkage with evaluations can be facilitated. So we've got a group task now, which is to reflect on your action plan, how it's going. Does it need updating? If so, please do it. What challenges are you facing? So reflecting on your action plan, how it's going, what challenges you're facing, what might you need help with. And we're going to ask you to report back on the challenges and the support you need. And in relation to this, think about how you're linking to the national SDG process, how you're thinking about domestication of indicators and those that you might be focusing on, the selection of the SDGs that you might be focusing on in the year, the linkages you're making with the different organizations, the Central Statistics Office, et cetera, So Janine is going to send you all into your groups again, and we'll put the task into your chat boxes. But again, just if you can, just take a photograph of the screen so you've got the task. I'll just wait for you for a minute to do that before we send you into the groups, and then we're going to send you into the groups, and we want you to report back at 14:15. So now the broader VNR process, how's it going, what support might be needed. So just a minute, and then Janine will send you into your groups. So maybe first of all, let's start this time with perhaps with Namibia. Sam, do you want to, and maybe do you want to share your screen, Sam? Can you share your screen?
Yes. Well, we looked at the action plan, and as I said, we did not have also some of our colleagues around, and we looked at the action plan. We did not see any updating for now, so it remains as it is. And the challenges that we see now is just getting hold of all stakeholders, as Ernst is part of the VNR team, and he actually invited some of them to this meeting of today. And we just saw the communication between him and some of the colleagues who are part of the VNR team, but it seemed today they did not make it. So that is the main challenge that we think we need to resolve between us and Ernst and then the other team. So I think yes.
So how do you plan to address that?
Yes, how we plan, we think of engaging the director here in the National Planning Commission, who is the chair or the convener of the VNR. We tried also arranging for a meeting with him last week, but he was probably too busy. He will not come back to us. And I think that will be our entry point to the team of all the stakeholders who are part of the VNR. And also Ernst, he's supposed to arrange also organize meetings with the UN team.
So perhaps just to clarify for the rest of the participants who Ernst is.
Okay, yes, Ernst is our colleague. He was a staff member of UNICEF here in Namibia.
Okay.
Yes.
And okay, and any help you feel you need? I see you've got a slide there.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I think for now, there's not much. We also just repeated the same thing of the stakeholders. I think the only help we need for now is just to get in touch with the stakeholders, and then I think we'll get the way forward from then.
Okay, and do you know what has the country yet decided on what it's going to do in relation to the VNR, which SDGs it's going to focus on, and has it decided on that?
Yes, the last time we had a meeting with the director, who is the convener of the VNR process, he indicated to us that he was thinking, or they were considering the SDGs, I think from 1 to 6.
Okay. And have you managed to
Yes.
check on the state of domestication of the indicators?
Yes, most of the indicators of the SDGs were domesticated, which is also part of it was also indicated in the last VNR report that Namibia has domesticated most of the indicators.
Okay. So you're
Yes.
anticipating finalizing that in the next month or so, probably then, are you?
Yes, we hope so, yes.
Okay. I don't know if anybody else has got any questions they'd like to ask Sam about Namibia. See if there's any hands. I don't see any hands. I don't see anything in the chat. Okay. All right. Okay, Sam. So well, we look forward to hearing more about what's happening. I don't know, Matodzi, I see you're online. Is there anything that you would like to ask Sam?
No, I don't think there's anything to add. I think you've asked all the questions. Because I think for me it was just also just to know, because I know that this engagement with the head of the committee was a critical part for their work. So just sort of thinking through how that's going to be addressed, I think that's probably the critical issue. But I don't have anything else to add. And hi, everyone. Hello, Ada. You're the only one I can see on screen right now.
Hi, Matozi.
Hi, Sam.
Good. Okay, all right, so that was Namibia. So maybe we can go to Sierra Leone. So maybe Sam, if you stop sharing, and Sierra Leone, have you got something to share to show us? Glenys, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, but Joseph was going to. Joseph, I'm here.
Joseph,
Hello.
Are you going to share, Joseph?
No, not necessarily. I'm not going to share a screen.
Okay, just tell us then.
To put together the things that we discussed. Yeah, the internet here is really poor, so it's like I was moving in and out of the discussion. But largely in terms of updates, we haven't done much on the action plan because we are still waiting to get the clearance from ECOSOC. So I discussed with Glenys that after today's session, I will follow up with our mission in New York to see whether we'll be given the go-ahead that will be presenting the Vienna in 2021. So, but in terms of the action plan, everything remains as it is. Only that just last week, we had a 2 days training session with the Parliamentary Committee on the SDGs to help them in terms of mainstreaming the SDGs into their activity in time to meet the next budget cycle, since Parliament are key players in the national budget cycle. So it was important to kind of provide them the guidelines to ensure that the national budget is aligned to the SDGs. So we had that training. All other action plans remain the same. Yes, so far, yes. In terms of challenges, yes, well, the obvious challenge is given that we still haven't commenced the process, I'm beginning to worry in terms of the timeline, whether we'll be able to meet most of the timelines. So that could be a challenge, the timeline. And of course, we'll have challenge with resources in terms of conducting a rapid evaluation. And given that we haven't done it before at the public sector level, there's going to be a challenge in terms of technical capacity. So in terms of the areas of possible help we might need, thinking of we'll need technical support in terms of a consultant to lead the rapid evaluation process. So yes, so those are the areas that we are able to discuss so far. Thank you.
Matozi, do you want to ask any follow-up questions? Okay.
I don't have any follow-up question because it says that we still have to get the go-ahead, right, Joseph? So I don't have any follow-up question on that.
Okay. So guys, there's actually the Twende Mbele African M&E Partnership is doing a seminar on rapid evaluations on the 27th. And I've just posted a link in the chat in case any of you want to participate, and it includes somebody from Ghana, somebody from South Africa, and somebody from Benin as part of that. So you might want to, it's just an hour seminar, you might want to participate in that. Does anybody else have a question to Joseph or Glenys? Or Glenys, do you want to add anything?
Yes, well, for us, the main thing, as you said, is the fact that they're still waiting for the go-ahead. In terms of technical capacity, we have the head of the National Monitoring and Evaluation Division, who unfortunately is not here today. He was with us the last time, but he wasn't able to make it today. He had too many meetings. But we'll definitely discuss that with him, and I'm sure we'll be able to see how UNICEF can support in terms of resources.
Right.
But the main thing is knowing whether we'll be going ahead with it or not. And the government will provide the feedback on that.
Okay. Anybody else from any of the other countries want to ask any questions to Sierra Leone? No, gone. Okay, thanks, Joseph. Thank you. Okay, and good luck with it. And we look forward to hearing whether you've had to go ahead or not. Oh, so, I see a question from Sunny asking what time the seminar is on Thursday. Let me just check. It's from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock South Africa time on the 27th of August. Okay. But I think the link I've given is the registration link for the seminar. So if it'll give you. Okay, so we've had Sierra Leone, Zimbabwe. Would you like to present?
So what we did is we used the work plan submitted, just created a column status and kind of tracked whether things were underway, whether things are delayed, whether, etc. So the challenges identified were the challenge that I think many countries are facing around mobility. We did discuss, we would have to use remote virtual waste. And then there are specific challenges related to resources, whether it be to conduct any evaluation activities, as well as recruiting a consultant to consolidate. As you know, Zimbabwe had already done voluntary local reviews. So to consolidate those reports and to draft the next VNR report for next year. As well as there are some challenges within the government staff in terms of having access to offices. And so the issues of access to infrastructures, internet, and continuity is an issue. So in blue, you will see some of the mitigations that we've came up with. So we talked specifically around some of the funding that government can commit to, as well as asking for data internet supports for individual staff who are working from home. Specifically from Clear AA and UNICEF, Zimbabwe would like to request for quality assurance support as well as review of draft reports. But also specifically in relation to today's training and potential synthesis going forward, I think Zimbabwe would like some help from Clear AA around scoping and developing the TOR. Sorry, Ian, you're muted.
Anderson or Gertrude, you want to add anything?
Okay, good afternoon. I think well said, this is what we discussed. So I don't think there's anything to add here.
Okay. Any other country want to ask anything? Okay, UNECA, anybody want to, or UNICEF, anybody want to ask a question?
Ian, you permit me?
Yes, go for it, Carol.
Yes, as we are new, the team from Angola, we are interested to learn about this from Zimbabwe experience. So the question is, how is the engagement of the government, the direct people from staff from the government regarding these actions that you plan to do and you are developing? Just to learn from your experience. Thank you.
Anderson, Gertrude, you want to respond?
Yeah, maybe rephrasing it, I didn't understand quite well what was the question really about.
So the actions that you've planned here, what was the response from the government about the, and the commitment to do this work, the involvement, etc.?
Okay. Thank you very much. I think there is quite a buy-in from government that we should use evidence on evaluations. And you remember that we hosted the Regional African Forum on SDGs this year in Victoria Falls in March, in February, March there. And so there is quite an excitement from government that we should learn from evaluations and we should do evaluations. And coming up now with the rapid evaluations, which are more on the budget is not that big, and that our monitoring and evaluation policy actually says that there should be dedicated monies for evaluations. I think it is very feasible that the government will be able to support with just a few dollars to do the evaluations, and maybe we could also get help from other partners if we don't get the full amount to do 1 or 2 rapid evaluations.
Carlos, I think you were asking a more general question, were you? Do you want to just follow up with that?
Yes, well, yes, it was a general question, but probably my follow-up question is regarding the direct engagement of the sectors, the ministries. Are you planning to do all those actions? Okay, but are you receiving the feedback? Are you receiving the backup from the ministries directly? The engagement of the staff, the technical staff?
Yes, what we have also done as the government of Zimbabwe is that we are saying every ministry should have a unit on monitoring and evaluation. And some we've already recruited directorates on monitoring and evaluation, the ministries. And now they have technical people who can actually, we can use. We call them, because I am with the Office of the President and Cabinet myself, we call them focal points in ministries, and they are quite welcome. And they are the ones also who were able to come up with an evaluation matrix for the SDGs last year after training from UNICEF.
Okay, so Carlos, what I'm just going to actually just quickly, so I'm just going to show, I'm going to just show the Moodle. This is the resource where we're storing all the central stuff around this course, this Moodle, the Moodle site. And it has the background to this whole approach. It's got the details of the initial course that was held there. It's got the guides in the different languages. It's got the presentations that were done on the initial course. This is the material for this course, the program in English, the program in French, and some resources. But also at the bottom here, it's got more background to the type of support that's being considered. It's got these forums. And so, Carlos, what you can also do if you want to is you can go in and look at one of the countries. Let me just take Ghana, for example. Actually, that one doesn't have it. But in many of them, what you'll find is that the action plans that the country has developed are in these forums. Okay, so if you want to have a look and see so if I look at that message, there's the action plan for Zimbabwe. Yeah, so you can actually access them and you can see what the other countries are planning to do. Okay, so and if you need help on accessing this site, then you need to contact Janine.
Yes. Thank you, Ian. Yes, that's very useful information. I sent a message saying, please permit the access of Angolan team, but I suppose that in the next hours, days, we will have that permission.
Okay, good, great. Okay, Matodzi, any questions you've got for him?
I have a comment, Ian, if I may.
Okay, Ian.
Yep.
I think Eda can go, and then it was like a very specific question to follow up with the Zimbabwe team, so I can always post it on Moodle. I just
Okay,
need to rush now to fetch the kids and I'll come back.
okay.
Okay, I think that based on the experience, Carlos Javier, I think that what we can be really useful in Angola is to have a 2 or 3 hour session with key senior government officials to raise awareness on the importance of evidence. This has been done, for example, last year in a peer-to-peer base. So Nigeria went to Niger, and that was done. We can find a way to do this, but I think that when there is political decision, actually it works. So this is not merely a technical exercise. It's a political decision with technical implications. So I think based on what you have said, to me, that political push is missing. So once we do that political push, we raise awareness, and doesn't have to be a long meeting. It's not a training session. It's more awareness raising. This can facilitate things depending, of course, of the outcome of such a meeting. With regards to the noodle, I would just to call upon Janine's attention, because this has been requested already, so probably you can provide access to Moodle to these Angola people. Thank you.
Yeah. And if necessary, what we can also do is just do a quick half-an-hour session with you, introducing you to the site. So maybe Janine could discuss that with you. Okay, so I was going to Ghana, but I don't have, you were going to send your presentation. Are you still planning to send that presentation, Ghana? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Sorry, Stephen. Okay.
So, okay, I could just ask it. I could just present it.
So you could just otherwise just talk it through if there's, you don't have to
That's
have
what I
a
want.
yeah.
So actually, we still need.
It's difficult to hear you.
Can you hear me?
Try again.
Hello, can you hear me?
Now we can hear you.
Hello, yeah, you can hear. So basically, find out the action plan will need to be updated based on one. Initially we plan to have a high level to
You're disappearing again. You're disappearing again.
Hello. So agreed on indicate. I mean the goals that to be reported, as well as able to conduct the area to conduct on the rapid evaluation to as a form of evidence to be. So that will be one of the key things based on having that high level meeting. In addition, I think in terms of challenges, it's basically going to be resources, which is both technical and financial, which will take action.
We're losing you again.
I'm going over again. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Ian, I'm back. I couldn't hear at that time. I had a problem with my microphone.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Yeah, but
Can I go on?
Yeah, Stephen's presenting at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah. So, as I said, with challenges is technical and financial at this point, and in terms of what we may need support, especially towards what we are doing, we expect Claire to understand that some of the so
we're losing you. I don't know what's happening, Stephen. We keep losing you.
Yeah, I don't know. My internet is so bad here.
I think
Are you okay?
Yeah, now we can hear you. I think you're going
Okay,
away.
as I said, in terms of we'll probably going to have Claire to help us to understand some of the teams on some of the indicators and themselves for us to do. So basically, these are some things. And we are also ready to share.
Okay, so Stephen, it's very difficult to get you. Can you, if there are particular things in terms of support that you're raising, could you just put it in the chat so that we get the picture clearly?
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Can we move to Angola? Elizabeth, you're gonna present, or Eliana?
Just wanted to give you a few notes that Angola has decided to develop the VNR very late, decided a couple of months ago. And as such, we are still dealing with internal organization issues. But on that note, I would say that tomorrow we should have an internal meeting to clarify who are the internal participants in the elaboration of the VNR, ensuring at the principal level that the people that are receiving the trainment, that they're being trained, are the ones that are going to be involved throughout the process. There's other things that are on the table for discussion, like such as the SDGs platform and the evaluation roadmap. This is all we have to present here.
Yeah, and because Angola came in late, they're scheduled to have a specific training to cover what we all did with you in a month ago. So okay, so anybody got any questions for Angola? Anything, Angola, anything you want to raise for us to think about or you know, reflect on?
I think what's important is what Ada already mentioned, is making sure that we've got top level involvement.
Right.
Throughout the process. I hope it's not just something that they're going to ask us to deliver in 3 months and they're not involved. They must be involved throughout the process. It's also crucial that we have expert assistance. I think that those are 2 key issues that we should look at.
Okay, good. Okay, so then I think, have we missed any country? Anybody been missed? I think we covered everybody.
Peru.
Yes, okay. Good, all right, so I think so many of you, things have not changed very much over the last period. You've still, those action plans are essentially still valid. There still needs to be following up. Angola needs to catch up. Some countries need to still get confirmation or get clarity from the political principles that you are moving forward, etc., and how. And then hopefully over the next month or so, you'll start to get a clearer idea of what's going to happen or not. At least just a reminder, before, when we've run this training face-to-face, we've run it in December. So you're all getting a very much advanced training compared to last year or the year before. So hopefully you should have a better chance of doing something. Good. Okay. So we're now going to move. We're going to move towards thinking about the next stages. So sorry, I just need to put this in presentation mode. Okay, so I want to just talk a bit about the next steps and how you access support. Ada, I sent you a message. I don't know whether you want to present these slides or you'd like me to do them. Ada, you're muted.
I didn't get your message.
Oh, okay. All right. So maybe
I will find it.
Okay, don't worry about it. Let me just. So I'm gonna present this, and then there'll be questions to Ada about how to how to follow up. So in terms of the support that's available to you, you have the VNR guides. So everybody should have received those last time. They're available on the Moodle site. They have information about full evaluations, about rapid evaluations, about synthesizing evaluative evidence, etc., and how you can include that in the VNR process. There is a general discussion forum on the Moodle site, and that would be something where you might have a question or you want to share with everybody to put there. There's the potential of online support from UNICEF or CLEAR, and you know, so if you, the first line of request, I think will be UNICEF, and then there may be particular support that's provided, like some of the things we've been talking about today, support on TORs, etc., etc. And according to those questions, there might be responding to those questions with answers or with resources that may be relevant. In some cases, you may want a remote session with a country. Let's say, you know, you've got a meeting with policymakers in your country, and you'd like Ada and me to be part of that call, for example. We can do that, you know. So, but in many cases, you know, do use your UNICEF country office and ask for what support you need. There is a set of materials and resources on the Moodle site. There's some that's general, which were in the training we put last time, and there's some that are around the particular topics that we're doing the monthly trainings on. So in this one, for example, we've got some examples of some terms of reference. I hope to actually put some examples of some rapid evaluation reports quite soon. There's some that have been finished in Western Cape. I'm not quite sure what the stages in Benin are, and then we'll put some of those up so that you can see some examples which will be helpful. Then there are the 4 specific training sessions we've got planned. This first one is on rapid evaluation. The next one, Matodzi is going to be presenting based on the synthesis of existing evaluations. So assume you've searched for evaluations, you want to summarize what comes up from those. Then we'll be doing one on evaluative workshops, and we'll probably do one on country-led evaluation systems, how you can use this process to help ensure that there is an evaluation system going in your country. But if there are other topics that you find are more important, we can adapt and provide support on those. So we're looking for your feedback also to decide what support will be most helpful to you. This is not just like a prescribed program. The other thing is obviously peer learning. So already Carlos talked about Zimbabwe. You can communicate between each other and ask how you did on this or what you're thinking about that. And it may well be that as in the Zimbabwe workshop that Anderson mentioned that happened at Victoria Falls, UNECA may well be planning another regional workshop for next year. At that point, Grace, do you know whether there's going to be another regional workshop? Grace is online.
Grace, you are muted. Well, I can talk about that. It's normally a forum that happens after the high-level political forum. Therefore, because of the situation, it might happen. If it happens, it's likely to be online. But there is no information yet, as of yet, but we will keep you posted. It's an Africa-wide forum that I would say it's a smaller version of the high-level political forum.
Okay.
Ada, is that the ARFSD?
Yeah.
Yes, it happens before the forum, and usually February. We don't have the exact dates as Ada has said for now. And if the situation is the same, it might likely happen online. The next one was supposed to be hosted by Burkina Faso, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so as soon as you've got details on that, Grace, that's the sort of thing we can put on the general forum, for example, hey? And
all right, yeah,
and give people links.
Okay, will do.
Yeah. So then there are networks that could be helpful. So the National Evaluation Associations, AFRIA, Africa Evidence Network, Africa Parliamentary Network on Development Evaluation, AppNode, Eval SDGs, etc., which may be of value for you. The support from UNICEF or CLEAR, a community of practice and access to resources. You may consider piloting rapid or longer evaluations, and you can use that to think about how you want your country evaluation systems to work, or possibly some rapid synthesis, and there's some training on September the 23rd. But where you really don't have the time to do these longer processes, then you could consider evaluative workshops, and we'll be running training on that in October. One of the key issues that has emerged in the work is that there are often big gaps between the M&E units, say in the Ministry of National Planning, National Statistical Offices, and the sections responsible for SDGs. There's often a divide here, and one of the actions that there could be following, as part of the action plan and following this work is to try and see how you can bridge some of those gaps. And you might need to consider getting some training, for example, from researchers or for government in evidence synthesis, e.g. from Makerere University, or contracting some support, e.g. from local universities. These are all sort of opportunities that you could consider. Is there anything, Ada, you'd like to add more in terms of the support and how the discussions you've had with country offices or with the regions? And maybe we can open that to Mona Lee as well. Michele, you're not on the call, I think, eh? You're in the Francophone. So, but Ada, anything you want to add?
No, it's just that feel free to contact your local country office or to contact directly me, or to contact it, and we will sort it out. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who you coordinate with, because we will get coordinated anyway. But if you think it's easier to touch base with the country office, probably that's the best channel. Also available in case you would like to write to me directly, and I will coordinate the support with CLEAR, with the country office, with the regional office. So we are very much looking forward, but we know that this training is taking place at an early stage, and that it has been, that's the way we planned it, exactly to that you can get some training, that you can also get support, as the case of Angola, to trigger the decision to incorporate evidence in those countries that the decision is already there, that they want to incorporate evidence, then the support can be a bit more technical. So let's have a conversation. It also doesn't mean that we will be able to cover all your needs. So we don't have neither the capacity nor the money, but we can be focused on your main needs in those strategic needs where you need the most support. That's the general thing, and then we will analyze case by case. So now we are speaking in general terms mainly. Mona, would you like to add something?
Thanks, Ada. No, nothing to add on my side. I think that was a good summary.
Okay. Okay, so does anybody have any questions they want to raise about that? Either in the chat or by raising your hand. Okay, all right, so we're going to move on then. So the next step is to do an evaluation. So I'm going to hand over to Janine to just do an online evaluation of how you feel today has gone. I think we can move on. I just want to come back to what were the objectives that we were trying to set for today, so that you understand the difference between rapid and traditional evaluations, and I've identified the purpose and evaluation questions for rapid evaluation you could conduct, and that you've discussed issues arising in taking forward your VNR, in embedding evaluations within the VNR, and have had feedback. That's what we aim to cover today. And before just before I do the checkout, I just wanted Mutodzi to just give us a bit of a feeling as to what we're going to cover on the 23rd of September. Mutodzi?
Hi. So, I mean, I think the 23rd, we're going to be looking at synthesis. There were a lot of questions, even from our previous training, about how do you bring the evidence together from different studies? What if the studies are conflicting? What if the evidence is not agreeing? How do you make sense of it, and how do you bring it together? And that's what we're going to be covering on the 23rd. We're going to be looking at how do you ask, or how do you frame policy questions in relation to VNRs that could lead the synthesis? How do you search for studies to be synthesized, but how do you do it quickly, and how do you do it in like cost-effective ways, but still be good enough for a rigorous synthesis? And then also, how do you take that information, extract it, and how do you synthesize and answer that policy question that you started with? So that's what we're going to be focusing on. You will soon receive the invitation and the agenda for that training. And if you have any question, but I'm sure we will send out an intake. But if you have any specific questions that you probably want covered or engaged with other than the ones that I've mentioned, please feel free to send through, because then that could also help us in thinking through some of the specific things that needs to be covered in the training. And I try and make sure that it's practical, so that you get a feel of how to do it. Yeah, I don't know if people have any questions. Yeah, if not, I'll hand over back to Ian. And
Yeah,
just to say, I've already put in some things, some resources in Moodle. So if you have time, please just check them out, browse through. I'll probably be adding more as we get closer to the training.
Sunny, you want to ask something?
Yes, my question is, supposing we want to conduct a rapid evaluation, what kind of support is available to us? A sort of facilitated internal but facilitated rapid evaluation of some sort. Is there any support available to us as part of this bouquet, or
do you mean support as in funding of the evaluation? Is that what you mean, or do you mean support as in commenting on your TORs and things like that?
Support as in having a lead or a facilitator, an experienced evaluator to be a sort of part of it and be part of it all through, so that he handholds us through it.
So I think maybe you need to refer that to Ada or Mona Lee.
Yeah, Sunny, it will depend on the scope, the many things. As I said, if you need support, you have to direct an email and we will analyze case by case. In general, the answer is that we will provide support, but we will have to take all the demands together to see the implication in terms of human resources, other resources, etc. So in principle, yes. So you need to contact your country office or contact directly. Which country are you?
Nigeria.
Are you in Nigeria?
Yeah, that's with Robert.
You are from Nigeria, right? Yeah, the thing is that Nigeria is not presenting a VNR.
Yes, it isn't in 2021.
Yeah, so I think we'll need to discuss that, because the support will be mainly concentrated on countries that will that are scheduled to present a voluntary national review.
Okay, all right, very well, thank you.
Yeah, but we can discuss anyway.
All right, you're welcome, thank you.
Okay. All right, so now I want to do a checkout, and rather than doing in the chat, I think I just want to give an opportunity for everybody to just voice how they're feeling, and I'd just like one word, how you're feeling at the moment. So maybe Sunny, let's just start with you. One word, how you're feeling at the moment. I'm going to call out people's names, and if you could just say one word, how you're feeling at the moment.
And let me remind you my last answer. I was feeling anxious. This time around, I'm really feeling great. Much improvement. So great. That's the word. Not
Okay.
anxious anymore. Thank you.
Anderson, how are you feeling?
Tired, but I'm okay.
Tired, but okay. Carlos, how are you feeling?
Challenged.
Say that again. Challenged. Was that?
Yes, yes.
Challenged. Okay. Ercilia.
I'm actually worried. I don't know how I was supposed to feel now, but I'm relaxed.
Relaxed. Okay, good. Gertrude, how are you feeling? Gertrude, are you there?
Super, great.
Great. Okay. Glennis, how are you feeling?
Happy.
Hungry but happy.
Glennis, go for it. Happy, was that?
Yes, I said
okay.
hungry but happy. I haven't had
Okay.
time for lunch yet, but I'll do that immediately we're done. But happy
Okay.
already.
Grace, how are you feeling?
Thirsty.
Okay. Joseph, how are you
For
feeling?
more knowledge.
Oh, thirsty for more knowledge. Okay. Joseph, how are you feeling? Joseph?
Satisfied.
Satisfied. Okay. And Laura?
Yes.
Hi, everybody. I feel great. Thanks. Very stimulated by today's workshop. So thanks.
Monali?
Motivated.
Motivated. Good. Sam?
Yes, I'm feeling great today. And then I will also just pass over to Esther, my
Okay.
colleague.
Go
Yes.
on, Esther.
I'm feeling good. I was a bit worried when we first logged in, but I'm feeling good now.
Great. And nice to hear your voice, Esther. Stephen? Stephen?
Enlightened.
Enlightened. Great. Okay. And then Adrian?
Well, I'm good. I'm all good. Thanks.
And you're the person, and the other person who had to get up very early in the morning, is it?
Yeah, I'm actually dozy now. Though I joined a little bit later because of some connectivity issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Well, anyway, well done for making it. And Janine, how are you feeling?
Content.
Content. Ada, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling very good. I really like how people are motivated, the level of motivation and energy. So that keeps us energetic and willing to continue.
Great, and I feel satisfied. I think today I'm happy with today, and congrats for all your inputs. And
Ian, sorry, Ian, the link to the evaluation form is there, but I think it's too up and people didn't see it.
Okay.
Perhaps Janine can put it again and make it and announce when it has been included, because it seems that the majority missed it because there was no an announcement that it was there.
No, she did announce it, but maybe you could put it in again, Janine. You could put it
I
in.
can put it again. So we've already had 13 responses.
Okay. Just put it again for some people that have missed.
Yeah.
I'll do so.
And while Janine is doing that, we won't close off the meeting for a minute, just to allow you to fill it in if you haven't filled it. Please do fill in the form, because it really does help us to try and understand. And we're also asking you some questions about what topics will be helpful for training. So it's really helpful for us if you do fill in that form.
And for you as well, because we can respond to your needs. So the link is already in the chat for those who missed it. if you just click in that link that is in the chat that Janine has just put it, that will help a lot. Thank you so much.
Okay, so with that, I'm going to hand over to Ada to do the closing.
Okay. Colleagues, as you know me, my name is Ada Ocampo. I work for UNICEF at headquarters. I'm Senior Evaluation Specialist at UNICEF's Evaluation Office. And now I would like to close on behalf of the three partners, UNECA, UNICEF, and Clear Anglophone Africa. We have joined forces since 2018 to deliver this initiative that combines training with technical assistance, exchange of experience, repository of resources, etc. This is the second activity. As it has been mentioned before, our core training was a 3-day training in July. Now we are having a specific one-day training activities, and that will also combine with technical assistance as soon as you get a bit more advanced in the organization for developing the VNRs. Next activity, as Matotsi has mentioned, will be on the 23rd of September, same time, on evaluation synthesis. Important to mention that for that activity, the entire group will be together. For this activity, we split between French and English. But for that activity, we will be one group, and we will have simultaneous interpretation. I would like to thank you very, very much for your enthusiasm, for having been all these hours together in Zoom, working and with the same level of energy. I know it's not easy to keep the energy while working virtually, but you did it, and we feel really grateful, and we are happy to learn about how you felt by the end of this activity. That encourages us a lot and continue and keeps us with the same level of energy as well to continue moving on this. In between today and the 23rd of September, please make sure you visit the Moodle platform, where you will find resources and where you can also post questions. And if you have additional questions or want to contact us directly, or you need technical support, please feel free to contact us. As we mentioned before, the suggested way to contact us is you touch base with UNICEF in your country, and they will coordinate with us. Or if you want to write to me directly, Ada Ocampo at UNICEF, feel free to do that, and then I will do the coordination with the regional office and the country office, and we will discuss, as we mentioned before, on a case-to-case basis, the support we can bring, we can give, and based on the demand of the country, the possibilities, and how, I think this is very important, to what extent the demand is aligned with our objective, our purposes, and our capacities. We have been in situations when the country wants us to write their PNR. So that's not exactly what we do. What we are trying to help with is to embed evidence from evaluations, mainly in voluntary national reviews. We are not here to replace the work of others that have to do the writing of their PNRs. We can add value to that, but we will not be able to do that task on behalf of the country. And we trust your understanding for that, but we can always discuss your demands, your concerns, and we will be delighted to do so. So thank you very much once again on behalf of the three partners, UNICEF, UNECA, and Clear Anglophone Africa, and we look forward to continue working with you. I wish you a very nice rest of the day, and a very nice week ahead. Thank you very, very much. Goodbye for now.
Bye, everybody. See you on the 23rd.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.